So, dear, is it working? Yes. I see Torbjörn online, so we're ready to start. Nice to see you, Torbjörn. A warm welcome to all of you here present in the room. For this, you need to put on your. How it works, you will need to put on your earphones for us to hear each other. And I can hear myself. So you need to go on channel 1. You need to switch on, and then channel 1.
Now we hear you.
Good. So we have a specific technical setup here, Torbjörn, as you can see. So a warm welcome to all of you here in the room and all those following online to this session on the UN Digital for Development, UN in Action. And this will be a really exciting session, and I'm happy and thankful to my co-chair, Gitanjali, who has done a lot of the preparatory work and invited all of you to join. And of course, also to UNDP and UNCTAD and all the other participants and co-chairs of UNGAS. So I will briefly make introductions of the panel. Just say you can see Torbjörn Fredriksson, who heads the e-commerce and digital economy branch in UNCTAD, as remote participants, but we see you well. We have Gitanjali to my left, who is a strategy and policy coordinator from ITU, and most of you will know from WSIS. To my right, we have Samia Melham, who is the lead digital development specialist of the World Bank. Thanks for joining too. On my left, first Magda Sek, Chief of the Technology and Innovation Section from UNECA, the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. Thanks for joining too. And also Mr. Richard Frelek, Counselor, External Relations Division, World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO. Thank you. And last but not least, UNDP. Yuping Cheng, thank you for joining, and perhaps, I don't know if Robert will come too, but we are very delighted to have you with us. Then I don't know if Hélène Moulinier, she's important for our session. She will be joining online, but she's also part of this panel. She's the advisor on digital cooperation and the thematic lead for the IGF Action Coalition on innovation and technology from UN Women. She's particularly important for this session too. So we will showcase UN in action today. And as we move closer to the 20 years review of WSIS, we have, of course, the crucial task of driving forward the creation and the continued creation of a more equitable, inclusive, and knowledge-driven world, where technology really serves as a catalyst for human and social and societal development, and of course sustainable development. The initial WSIS vision of a people-centered and development-oriented and inclusive information and knowledge society stays very strong and continues to resonate, I think, with all of us and our work. And we have seen over time how this WSIS vision from 2003 and 2005, the Geneva and Tunis Summit, has actually evolved, has been addressing new challenges throughout the time. You know how in the text we didn't find a notion of mobile phones or any technologies, and I think that made it so lasting. And today, we saw then also in 2015 how we could address with WSIS action lines and the work, the SDGs, and how to link our WSIS work with the SDGs. And so today we will hear more about action line implementation and what we have achieved concretely over the last 20 years, but also about future action. And I'm delighted to see Elaine now online too, because this is important for our way forward too on our gender equality work across the United Nations. So an explicit welcome to you again, Elaine. So I think I will just hand over first for some sharing of highlights of achievements over the last 20 years. And perhaps I will ask Gitanjali to start us off with some of ITU's work in this domain you would like to highlight.
Thank you so much, Cedric, and to UNESCO for so ably chairing the UNGIS since you took over as the chair. And welcome to all physical and remote participants. Thank you for being here with us. Also, to add to what Cedric said, the UNGIS is a very, is exactly UN in action, and we have been contributing the digital aspects to various UN processes. We've been having side events, and we have been contributing joint statements to processes like the ECOSOC Partnership Forum, the SIDS, the LLDCs, IGF. We've been organizing side events every year. So it's a very active group of UN agencies that are members of the CEB, and an extended, of course, we have observers as well. And we've been very successful in driving the digital agenda within the UN agencies. So looking at ITU, of course, ITU is the UN's specialized agency on digital and ICTs. So we have our mandates from our governing bodies like the plenipotentiary, the council working groups, where we have several resolutions that mandate us by our membership. So not only governments, but sector members. We have academia, we have the technical community, and others who give us instructions on what we should be doing to implement the WSIS process. We are the lead facilitator for Action Line on ICT infrastructure, on capacity building C4, cybersecurity C5, and enabling policy environments Action Line on C6. So to enable all of this, we've had various partnerships with UN agencies and others, since WSIS is a multi-stakeholder process. The GIGA initiative with ITU and UNICEF, where our goal is to connect every school worldwide to the internet, addressing the digital divide in education. The Equals Global Partnership Program that we are doing with UN Women, GSMA, ITC, etc., to promote gender equality. I'm pretty sure Helen will talk about it a bit more. The Connect to Recover that we did during COVID, post-COVID disruptions to enhance ICT infrastructure resilience post-COVID. And digital skilling, which is a very important aspect of ITU's work. We have several programs with UNDP on digital skilling, and DPI. We've started a lot of good work around that. I'm pretty sure Yuping will also mention it. The Broadband Commission that we co-chair with UNESCO. We've been advocating universal broadband access to support economic and social growth through that. Child online protection, another aspect of cybersecurity, Action Line C5, with ITU, with the governments, Interpol, private sector, where we are developing tools, guidelines, and strategies. Also, again, training women, girls, children on the the dark side of the internet, knowing that what could be harmful for them as well. Again, very important point, which probably Denish should also speak about, is the partnership on measuring ICT for development. A very important but kind of hidden aspect of our work, where statisticians in our organizations are kind of measuring the achievements that we've had in these various action lines and the goals that WSIS had set. Some of the key successes that we feel as the UN system, two main ones have been the WSIS Forum that we jointly organize with ITU, UNESCO, UNDP, UNCTAD, and more than 40 UN agencies. All of you are involved. It's a platform for all UN agencies and stakeholders to get together to advance our digital for development agenda. The next one is from the 7th to 11th of July in Geneva. So please mark it on your calendars. And we're going to do it again in alignment with AI for Good. So the WSIS Forum participants will also have access to AI for Good. And the IGF. IGF has been one of the successes of the WSIS process. Many of you have been contributing to the WSIS stock-taking database, the repository. We have more than 13,000 plus initiatives in the stock-taking database. So please do have a look because they are aligned with the WSIS action lines and SDGs. So if you're looking for case studies, projects on the ground, you're more than welcome to please have a look at those. Of course, other examples of collaboration, Be Healthy, Be Mobile, that we do with WHO, the smart Village, Smart Islands that we are doing with local governments and the private sector. Again, Digital Skills for Jobs campaign with ILO. So, Cedric, 20 years is a lot to kind of summarize, but these are like some of the real main things, Partner to Connect, which many of you are involved in, and the regional level. So, the regional implementation has been crucial for ITU, working with the regional commissions, the ITU regional offices, UNDP, and various other partners. So we can continue our contributions, but this is kind of what I could summarize.
Yes, I know and understand. It's very difficult to really summarize in a few minutes only all the work your organization has been doing. Magda, as Gitanjali has just mentioned, UNECA, perhaps you want to take on and continue to highlight a few of your achievements.
Thank you very much, Cedric. UNECA is pleased to participate at this event. As you know, we start with this since more than almost 20 years, and we have seen a lot of progress in the African continent. In 2005, our access to internet penetration was 2.6%, and today we are at 38%. When you go to the mobile penetration, it was almost 8% in 2005, and today we have more than 60% at the continental level. This is a good progressive of the WSIS implementation at the continental level, and ECA work with all countries to support them in the implementation on the WSIS action line in collaboration with several partners, here ITU, UNCTAD, and as a partner. We can highlight some key achievement during the 20 years. First, it is we work together with African Union to have this African AU Digital Transformation Strategy 2020-2030. It will be the blueprint for Africa on digital economy. We already work with AUC to develop this African Union data governance framework. It is a one key achievement on the continental level. Also, we can talk about this artificial intelligence AI strategy we adopted last year, key achievement in the continent. And also, we supported more than 40 countries to develop their national strategy at the continental level during these 20 years in line with the WSIS implementation. On digital ID, very important for the continent because we are a continent with more than almost 500 million without any legal form of identity. And we work closely with several partners to develop the digital ID at the continental level, World Bank and others. And have you seen now, a lot of digital ID have developed at the continental level. Also, on policy cybersecurity, it is a big issue of the continent. Despite this 10% loss in the GDP for cybersecurity, we already work with African Union to develop this Malabo Convention on cybersecurity. And recently, to complete the framework on cybersecurity in the continent, ECA has developed a guideline framework for cybersecurity. It is some key strategic element we have developed at the continental level. Of course, in the C5, C3, all we need to build the capacity of our member state. And ECA has established an African Center of Excellence on Artificial Intelligence in Congo-Brazzaville. as well as we are establishing now a STEAM center in Rwanda and a center of cybersecurity in Togo. It is to support the digital skills in the continent. We work also closely with ITU and UNICEF in the GIGA project. And also we didn't forget the digital skills for young generation. Why we have initiated in collaboration with ITU and UN Women this initiative called African Girl Coding Camp, and now we have trained almost more than 40,000 girls across the continent with 284 projects developing. We guide gathering lot of initiative at the regional level to take into consideration the priority of Africa in the global GDC. We organize several roundtables across the member state to explain better the GDC to the member state and also to get their view and point and priority for the GDC adopted 2 months ago. And now we are supporting African country to implement the GDC in line with the wishes action line. As you know, what in 2005, almost the key issue was integrated in the wishes, and we have seen during these 20 years two key challenge for the continent. One, it is for all the world, the AI issue as well as the data issue, and there is something we need to contextualize in the wishes plus 20, and we are going to have our wishes plan 20 event next year in May in Benin, and also we are going to have African IGF in Tanzania in May. And we think all this outcome will be reported during the WISIS Plus 20 and the Global IGF. Welcome. Also, we are member of all this UN this partnership for measurement of ICT. There are a lot we can say. We have a lot of progress with the support. We work with UNDESA on the e-government survey. I think there are a lot of been accomplished in the continent in the implementation of the WISIS action line. We thank you all partners supporting ECA on this task. Thank you.
Thank you, Magda. This is really most impressive, and I know this is just the surface, of all the great work you have been doing. And I wanted to keep it a little bit interactive like that and do a natural link, but I will now go back to the formally correct thing, to first our Angus co-chairs. So I will give the floor to UNDP, followed then by UNCTAD. And then UNDESA, World Bank, WIPO, and I don't know if Delfina from UNO wants to say something too. We'll keep it smooth from there. So Yuping, over to you as our co-vice chair.
I have to say, Cedric, we were actually okay with interactive, but I also appreciate the ability to speak. I'll try and keep it short because I think there's so much amazing work that all of us UN agencies are doing together. So it'd be really great to hear from everyone and then have a chance to also hear from others participating in the room who might want to ask some questions to the UN agencies. I just want to pick up a little bit where Martha left off, that we're really looking towards GDC implementation and how WISIS needs to play a critical role in this, because over the last 20 years, indeed, we've been doing so much amazing work as agencies together collaboratively, really looking at what it means to be implementing this both at the regional level, at the country level as well. So going forward, it really has to be that the WISIS action lines and the way we push forward in a multi-stakeholder fashion through the WISIS process is the cornerstone of how we implement the GDC. Indeed, yesterday UNDP was proud to host an open forum with our colleagues from ITU and UNDESA, Southern Voice and Internet Society, on how global digital cooperation really must be implemented at the country level. And so today's theme of today's meeting, Digital for Development, really cuts to the heart of what UNDP is doing. We are the UN's development arm. We are in over 170 countries and territories around the world. We are now currently supporting 120 plus countries in harnessing digital to achieve the SDGs. So really, this is a cornerstone of how we approach development, that digital is indeed an enabler and accelerant of the achievement of the SDGs. And in order for us to realize our mandates across the system and to deliver on all these very important things that our partner countries have entrusted us to do, we really need to harness the potential of digital technologies. So for instance, the Chief Digital Office, from where I sit, has already been with over 50 to 60 countries conducting digital readiness assessments, working on digital public infrastructure, really fulfilling the ambition that was laid out in the WISIS action lines, where UNDP sits as the co-facilitator for C4 on capacity building and C6 on the enabling environment. I think Gitanjali also touched on a lot of the work that we're doing with the ITU. We're doing, for instance, the High Impact Digital Public Infrastructure Initiative that was a key outcome of last year's SDG Summit. We also have the SDG Digital, which actually is a hallmark of the entire system coming together, where we present a lot of the work that various UN agencies are doing in a collaborative fashion to really think about how SDGs can be, as I've said before, enabled and accelerated by the use of digital technologies. We also work together with the ITU on skills and capacity building through an open source ecosystem enabler that is supported by the European Commission that's looking at countries such as Trinidad and Tobago and thinking about how we can harness open source through the development of an open source program office in these developing countries, such that we together can actually co-create a more interoperable open source system that achieves digital transformation. I could list a lot more of the collaborations that we're doing with the other UN agencies. It would take a lot of time. I just want to specifically call out the important area of artificial intelligence, where I think other colleagues will also raise this as something that we really need to look forward to in the update of the WSIS plus 20 review and the action line. So I think this area of artificial intelligence will be something that is cornerstone to the way the United Nations develops and uses digital technologies. And indeed, it's something that we've all been working on together. With UNESCO, for instance, the UNDP is doing artificial intelligence assessments, with the ITU working on AI skills capacity building. And so these areas will be critical. The other area that I want to very quickly mention is environmental sustainability, where again, I think this is something where there is that potential to make sure that the references in the GDC are also reflected in how WSIS carries this forward. Particularly important, for instance, from the UNDP is the fact that we co-chair the Coalition on Digital Environmental Sustainability with the ITU and UNEP, as well as the International Science Council, the German Environment Ministry, and other NGOs. So this really is a multi-stakeholder coalition that looks at the issue of digital environmental sustainability and thinks about how we collectively can really push forward this global effort towards ensuring that this is part of how we deliver on making sure digital is an empowering force for people as well as planet as well. So I just want to end there. I know I've gone over quite a lot. There's also a lot more that I've not gone over, and I look forward to questions from other colleagues in the room.
Thank you so much, Yu Ping. This is really impressive, and for highlighting so many areas where we really work well together across the UN on key topics. I hand over now to Torbjørn, who is unmuted, I see, and ready to go. Torbjørn, over to you.
Thank you very much, Cedric. I hope you can hear me. Good morning to all of you from Geneva. I wish I could also be present with you in Riyadh. This time it was not possible, I'm afraid. Let me start by thanking UNESCO as Angi's chair and ITU also for having organized this session during the IGF. I think the world is really digitalizing faster than ever before, affecting more and more aspects of life. While this is creating many new opportunities, it's also clear that it's raising many new challenges. This is clear not least in the context of e-commerce and the digital economy, which is the part of digital for development that UNCTAD is particularly concerned with. From the perspective of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, all of us need to explore every possibility for making use of digital technologies to contribute towards improving progress, because unfortunately we are currently not on track to achieve the SDGs. In the area of digital economy and digital trade, which are at the heart of e-business, we are observing widening digital and data divides, growing market concentration, and an expanding environmental footprint from digitalization. The super fast evolution of the digital economy, where AI and other data-driven applications are increasingly important, is making it ever harder for countries at low levels of digital readiness to keep up, and harder still to catch up. This increases now the risks of wider inequalities. And if we truly endeavor to achieve an inclusive and sustainable digital economy, we need to do better. And this can only be achieved through more effective collaboration, both domestically and internationally, across stakeholders, across policy areas, and across borders. We very much welcome that member states came together to agree on the Global Digital Compact last September, which provides additional impetus for us as UN entities to support collective efforts towards achieving the SDGs. In this journey, the UN Group on the Information Society represents a very valuable mechanism for ensuring that we make full use of the entire UN's networks and expertise. UNCTAD looks forward to another year of great importance for the perspective of digital for development. For example, under the auspices of the GDC, UNCTAD will play its part, especially in fostering a more inclusive digital economy, Objective 2, and fostering better data governance under Objective 4. We will continue to build on the E-Trade for All initiative that now has 35 member organizations, including many UN organizations. We also look forward to taking over the baton from UNESCO in 2025 as chair of UNGIS. It's not going to be easy. You're doing a great job. And in partnership with the International Trade Center and the Universal Postal Union, we will also keep facilitating the e-business action line in the context of the World Summit on the Information Society, the first 20 years of which will be assessed next year. Last but not least, next year UNCTAD will hold its next ministerial conference. We only have one every 4 years, and this time it will take place in Vietnam. And that will offer another opportunity to bring the digital dimension of development to the fore at the ministerial level. So with that, thanks a lot for your attention, and good luck with the rest of the events in IGF.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Torbjörn. Can you tell us the dates for the ministerial conference in Vietnam?
I will tell you as soon as I can.
Okay, thank you. Just curious. Thank you so much. And of course, the digital economy aspect you're working with in UNCTAD has become increasingly important from the beginnings of WSIS till today, and the work you're doing in this field too. Over to you, Andessa, now, please.
Thank you so much, Cedric. This is Deniz Susar from UNDESA. ANGES is very important for us as well to coordinate our internal work. UNDESA is the WSIS Action Line facilitator for C1, Promotion of ICT for Development, C7 E-Government, and C11 International Regional Cooperation. Sorry. Related to C1, we've been doing a lot of work in country, capacity building workshop. We just recently partnered with ECA in Southern Africa, and we have many other capacity building workshops on digital transformation on e-government is happening. Related to C7 e-government, we recently launched the United Nations e-government survey 2024 in September during the GA. The survey is looking at 193 UN member states e-government development, and also together with UNU eGov, who is sitting next to me with Delfina's team, we are expanding the survey's coverage into the cities. So we are bringing it at the local level, how we can measure e-government development at the local level, and we are also partnering with entities, either non-government or government, to apply our methodology in several countries. And related to C11, IGF, as you know, it's happening now. We are the institutional home for the IGF, and the next one will be taking place in 23-27 June in Norway. And finally, I just want to talk about WSIS Plus 20 overall review by the UNGA. We are expecting to be the secretariat for the WSIS Plus 20 overall review. We will need all the ANGES agencies, especially the core agencies' support in this process. We will not be able to undertake this important process without your support. We will make sure that all your inputs, contributions, all your WSIS Plus 20 reviews will be fully reflected. We are expecting that General Assembly will appoint co-facilitators latest by mid-January. Right now, they are just waiting for the ICT 4D resolution to be adopted by the GA. It's already adopted by the second committee. Once we do the modalities resolution, we are expecting to see a roadmap and make sure that the process is multi-stakeholder and We take all stakeholders' input transparently and fully in the process. Again, we rely on Angus' support on this, and I look at all the agencies here. And the view from here is what we heard right now, not to create any new structures, use existing VISIS mechanisms to implement the GDC, and we very much appreciate the GDC SDG matrix that's put together by Angus, which we contributed. I think this is an excellent way of mapping how we can implement the GDC implementation. All our existing VISIS processes, IGF, is not perfect, but we should continue to work to improving it. For example, IGF had recently had a leadership panel appointed by the SG. We see it as an improvement to the IGF, and we expect to continue to leadership panel. If, as UN agencies, if there is anything jointly we should do to improve to VISIS process, we should be open to that. But again, we should be sensitive to resource constraints within the UN and shy away from creating new mechanisms. And this is the message that we will also reflect in the Riyadh IGF messages, which will go out on Thursday, which our team is compiling right now. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Denise, for this update. And I really appreciate also that everybody is trying to be short. For those online, we have here a room full of people, and we would like to interact with them too. It's a unique opportunity for us as Angus, and I really am happy about all the interest we have generated here. So we will do a rapid round and then also hand over to the participants who might have any questions to us, and we look forward to that too. Yeah, I know. I didn't want to shut the, and also, Hélène, we haven't done our round, but I just wanted to highlight it's good to be short. We can't speak about all the achievements of our organizations, impossible. But the update is very much appreciated now from the World Bank, and Samia, over to you.
Thanks a lot, Cedric, and thanks a lot to all the organizers and partners and host country. I'll be very brief. 3 minutes, okay? Okay, I could spend 3 days, 3 minutes. All right, we'll go for it. So when that whole process started some almost 20 years ago, we were talking about the next 6 billion. We are talking now about the next 2.6 billion. So kudos on all that have really taken that agenda, taken it forward, and taken it very seriously. I think this is one of the most solid stakeholder processes I have ever witnessed in my career. However, the road is full of new challenges. Whereas we talked a couple years ago, 2 decades ago, about mobile phones and telecom regulators, these were the new kids on the block we were training. We now have climate change, we have AI, we have data poverty everywhere, and we have a huge digital divide in data caused by all the challenges we know, and a huge divide in languages that are so needed for AI, for developing these large language models that we talk about. For us at the World Bank, it's been a story of growth. I would say if I want to leave you with one message, it's the World Bank is very serious about digital. Our president has been a big champion of it. When I started, we were a unit of 20 people with a bigger unit with water, with financial service, with transport. We have our own VPU now. Our project size used to be around 10 to 20 million. Our average project size, I give you Rwanda where I worked, 10 million to start. It's now we have projects of 100 million. So the message is really scaling up, both in people capabilities and in partnerships. We partner with all of you around the room. Is it enough? No, it's not. Sometimes we reinvent things. Sometimes we're not completely aligned from the very beginning. So that's something that we can definitely improve, reuse one another's research, facilities, etc. The way that we are looking at it very strategically now for the next couple of years with our new vice presidency is not only are we investing a lot more in digital public infrastructure, but we want to also invest in the human capital and that of policymakers, that of people, youth specifically, and have a lot more participatory approach in digital development, in digital transformation, as we call it now. So really, this is an ideal table to discuss all this. And I want to leave you with one point on the capabilities. The World Bank launched its academy program. We will have a digital academy with different chapters around the world. We just piloted a Tokyo chapter a couple weeks ago. We're looking at the Middle East regional chapter. We're looking at partnering with new governments such as Saudi Arabia, South Korea, Japan, other governments that were not typically our traditional partners because of their keen interest and leadership in the agenda. And we really look forward to collaborating with all of you in the most impactful way. Thank you.
This is incredible. In 3 minutes only, 3 minutes, 15 seconds. You did an incredible job because the World Bank has, of course, numerous projects huge projects across the world. Now I hand over to WIPO, please.
Thanks very much, Cedric. Does it work? Yeah, thanks very much, and good morning, everyone, and good afternoon for those joining us online. Hello. Now it's going to work. So good morning, everyone again, and good afternoon, of course, for those who might be joining online. Thanks very much for the invitation. It's always great to be here together with our friends and family from the UN system and beyond, connected also through the UNGIS. For those who might not know, the World Intellectual Property Organization, in short, WIPO, is the UN agency that serves the world's innovators and creators. We are also the forum for addressing cutting-edge IP issues, and our IP data and information guide decision makers. And we, of course, have impact-driven projects and technical assistance to ensure IP benefits everyone everywhere. And digitization is also key to our development work. Firstly, because, of course, essentially all development work has to take into account ICTs. Digital is cross-cutting and it's an enabler. But secondly, of course, we also have a range of initiatives and that specifically focus on digitization and development, which contribute to VCs, GDC, and to the implementation of the SDGs. My work here is quite easily cut out for today because we just recently also submitted our report for VCs Plus 20 review, where we cover all the wide range of activities on digitization and development because time, and we also, of course, contributed to the matrix, which was mentioned as well. Because time is always short, let me just give you 3 examples of our action-oriented initiatives. First example are technology and innovation support centers, in short, TISCs. These are typically located in patent offices, universities, research centers, and science and tech parks. And these TISCs enable researchers and inventors to get support in accessing and using technological information from more than 150 million published patent documents and scores of scientific and technical publications. In recent years, also, TISCs have been picking up new additional activities such as patent analytics, technology transfer, or commercialization. And currently, 93 countries have established national TISC networks. Second example, the Accessible Book Consortium, ABC in short, following the adoption of the Marrakesh Treaty, which makes the production and international transfer of specially adopted books for people with blindness or visual impairments easier, we launched a multi-stakeholder alliance comprised of organizations that represent people with print disabilities. And the goal here is to increase the number of books in accessible formats and to distribute these to people who need them around the world. What did we achieve? 138 participating authorities, most in developing and LDCs countries. More than 1 million titles in 80 languages are available for cross-border exchange, free of clearance formalities under the Marrakesh Treaty. Third example is supporting ICT applications in IP institutions. So we help national and regional IP offices to enhance their efficiency of their IP registrations and adopt their own digital transformation strategies. This includes, among others, improving their online services, integration into regional and international IP systems, and to enable that exchange of data and documents. And 91 IP institutions across the world are actively using one or more of our modules tools included in our digital WIPO IP Office suite. And we have many, many more, including, of course, with all our partners here gathered at the table. But just to mention Digital Market WIPO Green, our WIPO Academy work, training programs for women in STEM, or tools on and IP checklists for game and app developers. And tomorrow you can actually, if those interested, you can join at 15:45. We are hosting an event on women in games and apps, where we will also be showcasing some of our activities in that area. Being here, of course, I have to mention that we also have a lot of work on AI. Through our WIPO conversation on frontier tech, we facilitate this open and inclusive discussion and knowledge building among all stakeholders to support well-informed policy choices on IP, including also on AI. Over the last 5 years, 9,000 people have participated, 100 from 172 countries. Last session took place in November and focused on IP and AI outputs. We also provide tools also on IP and AI. I won't go into that right now, but you can find all that on our websites and in the reports. And I know the time is running out, so just finishing, at WIPO, we always look forward to work supporting all countries and stakeholders and working together with all our partners from the UN system and beyond to help to ensure that each and every innovator and creator can thrive. And looking forward to working through also the UNGIS, and hopefully also see you tomorrow. Thanks again for the invitation.
Thank you, Raizet. I hand directly over to Hélène. Sorry, I should have announced it before.
Thank you, Cedric. I hope you can hear me. I'll also try to be brief. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. On UN Women's side, to flag that I think what we want to report on is that probably the last 5 years there has been the years where we've seen the most conversation at the intersection of digital and gender happening. It was mentioned that the coalition and equals were really incubators for knowledge, for ideas, and that all these conversations have turned during that period into really concrete outcomes and commitment. The first of which was last year the CSW, the Commission on the Status of Women, and the agreed conclusion on technology and innovation. The first one on this topic that provided us really an important normative framework to build on. And this framework was really helpful last year when we are doing all, and this year the advocacy for better integrating gender in the GDC. Thanks to all this work, we really can see that the digital divide is now front and center in many of the discussion, and that there's I think, common agreement that the best way to bridge it is to really have an intersectional approach and reach the hardest to reach, which are very often the women living in rural areas, in marginalized group, in least developed countries and region. The challenge now ahead of us is to make sure that we don't work in silos on this topic, and I really believe that Oasis and Angus are a space and for collaboration on that. We did an event yesterday specifically on this topic, and many voices called indeed for an action line on gender as part of the ICIS review process. They also call for a digital track on the Beijing Plus 30 review, which is also happening this year. And actually, UN Women has identified digital gender gap as one of the important 6 cross-cutting topic and area of acceleration for the work to come this year on Beijing. And we also have, and it was mentioned here, the I think colossal task of implementing the GDC, and the stakes are high to make sure that gender is not diluted in this implementation or render invisible, but instead to really be mainstream and prioritized across all the chapter. And so for that, with ITU and hopefully with many members of the group as well, we want to make sure that we bring the conversation in all this work stream together, and that we have one cohesive action agenda that is amplified at CSW in March, at WISIS in July, and every other important moment that are going to come in 2025 and the years beyond. And again, what was said by many participants is that if we want to be impactful on this topic, we have to implement it together, to be forceful, and to have one line of action. And so I really hope that these are the collaboration we can create this year on the topic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hélène. And can you hear me? Yes, okay. For those who don't know here, we have chosen to take gender equality as one of the cross-cutting themes this year, together with the environment and some capacity development for civil servants on AI and digital transformation. But this is certainly a topic which all of us are committed to, and I am personally also very keen to coordinate and work jointly there. Perhaps we can have another Ange session online with all the members dedicated to that theme only, to really see. We have already to plan for 26 till 29 our outputs, indicators, and so on. And so we are quite concrete planning ahead, and I would like to have a session perhaps to also see how we can coordinate our work in this specific topic. But thank you so much for trying to keep a short view on that. Now over, perhaps, I don't know, Delfina, would you like to say something, or yes?
I know the time is too short, but we will also be short. Just to say thank you very much for the invitation to be here. We started to join Angus since March this year, and it is really a pleasure and to see the value of this group. It is extremely important that we understand what is happening and who has been contributing to this issue of digital inside the system, so that we can align efforts and achieve all the value that we want. Very quickly, basically we have been, so this digital is our main business, so we just do that. We just look to the digital part and how governments are using digital to transform themselves and to achieve what they want, considering all the multiple aspects that have been already mentioned here. We have three main focus. We are very focused on policies and regulations at digital level, also at the innovation and emerging technologies, particularly AI, and also people at the center of all this digital transformation. And here we include many of the things that you have been also working that is related with human rights and all the aspects, participation, etc., etc. So we have been working with most of you. Let me share with you that we work a lot with countries, with government agencies spread all over the world. And we have been working also with many of you in our activities. With UNECA, for instance, we have we signed an MOU and we have initiated some collaborations. We are very proud of them. Namely, and it's very connected, what we have been talking about, collaboration and multi-stakeholders that we launched for different regions, also regions in Africa, that gather representatives from this area of digital governance in multiple countries. We have been also cooperating with UNDESA for some time now, since 2018, in what regards is WASI, with ITU, also UN Habitat, so with many of you, particularly also with UNDP. We have some joint projects in all these countries that we have been working. Regarding the main topics, yes, I need to close. Everything that you mentioned, AI indeed an important topic that we are also working on, data. But also more traditional aspects that are related with measurement, assessment, and monitoring. These are key aspects for countries to be able to achieve what they want. So thank you very much.
Thank you for trying to keep it short. When you're doing interviews, as an interviewer, you're never supposed to give away the mic, you know, so you can have different control. But here it's a different setup. Now, is there any UN institution I have overlooked? No. So. Yeah, Rob, thank you for joining us, but we had an excellent intervention by Yuping, if it is okay. So thanks for joining us today too. Rob is the Chief Digital Officer of UNDP. He could spend 3 days speaking about UNDP's work, but we'll keep it short. For UNESCO, we have 6 action lines and we have 8 minutes left. So I will just say we are covering education, sciences, ethics, access to information, culture, and media. And of course, we're trying to address key challenges which the world is seeing today. And they are sometimes even going across action lines. So in education, of course, we have the integration of technologies into education systems, across the education systems with pre- and in-service teacher trainings, and lately guidelines and trainings on how to use AI and how to deal with AI as a teacher, which is sometimes a challenging thing. But if we're speaking, for example, about disinformation, hate speech, and so on, another part in education is about media and information literacy. Dealing with the information overflow and learning to be able to look at information critically, but also to think before you click and send on, possibly disinformation is an important aspect of this work. And related to that, I just highlight one second thing and then mention a third. It is our guidelines on the regulation of online platforms, which is related to the media work, and it has been done by our section on freedom of expression, to be very clear. So it is not about censorship online at all. It is the freedom of expression people who dealt with it, and it was a process where over 1.5 years with different versions and 10,000, a little bit more than 10,000 inputs, and a big conference of 4,000 people, we developed these guidelines and are implementing them now with regulators and of course with private sector companies and so on, as an example of our media and business related work. Just as a last thing, on 4th and 5th June, we will have a conference in Paris on AI and digital transformation in the public sector, which will be part of our WSIS Plus 20 process. And I could speak longer about that. But we have here a unique opportunity again of having participants. So I wanted to just give a few minutes to those who want to take the floor and ask any of us any question. And now is the moment. Yes.
Also, we acknowledge the presence of our chair from South Africa of the Council Working Group on WSIS and SDG, and they also have the presidency of G20. So, Cynthia, we hope that you will also like to take the floor.
Cynthia?
Yes. Thank you very much, and I really I've enjoyed the talk in this session, and we appreciate to be here as South Africa, and really for us as South Africa taking over the G20 presidency, we are looking forward for the continuation of the great work that is done by the UN agencies in implementing the WSIS. But more than that, we are also looking forward for the WSIS, the IGF, to continue in the implementation of the GDC. And there are a number of activities that South Africa, as the G20 presidency, they have actually identified as key priorities, not only for South Africa, but for the African continent. Issues such as the digital public infrastructure, the issue of looking at capacity building around AI, but also the issue of the data protection and the privacy of data, and also the issue of the open source. So these are the key issues that South Africa is looking at, and we're looking forward to the support that we've received, not only as South Africa, but as Africa, as a continent, and other developing countries, to ensure that the implementation of the GDC, it is sufficiently done, and it's done by yourself. And we still rely on you in terms of doing all these key issues in relation to digital transformation. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. And if I would have seen you in the audience, I would have highlighted our AI work because that is, I understand also, and you will have, of course, UNESCO's, and I'm sure also the other agencies' full support on the work streams you're there advancing on data governance, on AI, and where we have a lot to offer and to share with you too. Is there anybody else who would like to make a point or raise a question? Well, fantastic. Just to say then too, on data governance, we are working with the co-chair ITU, co-chair UNDP, co-chair African Union on a data governance toolkit, which we're also developing with many private sector companies and also governments and building on their experience. So that will be very useful for all of us. Should we take a photo before I have several times the minutes left, and we just take the last minute perhaps to go. Please stay online, and perhaps all the participants too come in front of the screen, and we take a photo if that's fine with you, with all of you. Is that good? Thank you. So while everybody goes to the screen, I continue just speaking a little bit, thanking all of the participants, thanking all the panelists, and we look forward to our continued cooperation. And we will have special sessions on environment. We will have special session on the gender equality aspect very soon in the next year. So thanks to all of you who joined online and those in the room for your keen interest and for your active participation. Thank you.